Hey everybody, it's John Skiba from the Consumer Warrior Project. I'm also an attorney at the Arizona Consumer Law Group. And on today's video, I wanted to share some tips and some pointers when it comes to service of process of debt collection lawsuits. I run into a lot of people every day who believe that if a debt collector is trying to sue them and take them to court, that they can simply not respond to the lawsuit, or they can just avoid the process server. Take a peek outside the door there and you see that it's a process server, you don't respond it, or if you try to avoid them. And what I wanted to share with you today is why that's really a bad idea, particularly here in Arizona, where I practice law. And the reason why is because, let me back up a bit. Let me show you exactly what happens in Arizona when it comes to serving a lawsuit. So I have a little flow chart here for you. When a junk debt buyer or a debt collector files a lawsuit in Arizona, they have 90 days to serve the person, the defendant, which is usually you, with a lawsuit. And during that time period, there's a couple ways they can do it. The traditional way is they can serve you with a process server. This is the person who literally comes to your home and drops off the complaint and the summons that they've sued you with. Now, most people believe that you have to sign for something or that they have to serve you personally at your house. They don't have to do that. They can just drop it off and they can leave it with someone else who lives in the home. And Arizona law says that it just has to be someone who looks fairly responsible, and this could even be a teenager, even a relatively young teenager, and if they respond to it, or if they accept it, then that counts. Now, the other way is through alternative service, and that's what I want to talk about as far as why it's not a good idea to try to avoid that. And the reason is if the process server comes to your house and you don't accept service and you don't answer the door, eventually the process server is going to go back to the court and tell them, hey, I've tried multiple times, I can't get this person home, or I think this person is avoiding service. Then the courts here in Arizona can grant them what's called alternative service. And this is where they actually get an order from the court that allows them to do something like mail it to you with certified mail, post it to your door, or sometimes they even allow them to publish it in the classified section of some random newspaper that doesn't even have that great of circulation. So what happens there is you don't actually get notice of it in most cases. And the reason why that's important is because as soon as you've been served with a lawsuit, whether it's through the process server bringing it by or whether it's through alternative service, they put it in the classified section or they posted it on your door, either way, that starts the clock ticking on the 20-day time limit you have to respond to the lawsuit. If you don't respond within that 20 days, and granted, this is Arizona law, that's important to understand for anybody watching this. If you don't respond within that 20 days by filing a written response with the court, then the court can enter a default judgment against you. You want to avoid that. A default judgment means that then the creditor is really getting everything that they asked for, and they now have the power to garnish your wages and to levy your bank accounts. And too often, this is the route that these debt collection cases go. Over 95% of debt collection cases end in a default judgment. And the sad part about this is, in many cases, there are very good defenses that you can assert, but if you don't respond to it, or if you're not aware that the lawsuit has been served, then you can't put forward those defenses and the court just grants judgment. So I always think it's better to just get the lawsuit, just face it head on, accept service from the process server, and then look at what your options are from there. And a good place for you to learn about those options is over at consumerwarrior.com, where I've written about 500 articles. I have about 100 videos. I even have a link to an audio podcast there on information I do on how you can handle these debt collection lawsuits. We particularly focus on debt collection lawsuits filed by junk debt buyers. These are companies that purchase debts, like Midland Funding is one of the big ones, Portfolio Recovery, Cavalry SPV, Cash LLC. There's a ton of other ones out there. But head over to consumerwarrior.com if you have additional questions. You can do this. You can defeat these debt buyers. You can defeat these debt collectors. But the first step is accepting the process of service, accepting that summons and complaint, and dealing with it head on. Thanks for watching.